Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is a weekend review for the week ending October 25th, 2024. Also be doing an end of month review. We're currently looking at some of my risk on, risk off pair indicators. Right now, this is SPY equities versus bonds, 20-year treasury. This is a risk on look, pulled back to the 50, momentum pulled back to 0, flipped up. This is exactly what the bulls wanted to see. Aligns with the dip that we saw here in September. Now we're taking a look at high yield bonds versus TLT, right? So junk bonds versus TLT, still outperforming. This is SPY versus gold, pulled back below the 200 again for the 5th time now. This is a bit concerning for the equity bulls. The target right now is 206 and we're at 229. Means outperformance in gold for a little bit longer. Right here we're looking at SPY or equities versus dollar. This is actually pulling back to the 20 after hitting a new all-time high. This is still saying risk on. We don't even have a pullback to the other side yet or a rising 50. That dip would be for buying, but this is a uptrend. Right? The assumption is the uptrend continues. Right here we're looking at IWM versus QQQ on the monthly. As you can see here, there's never a reason to own IWM over QQQ for any substantial period of time other than a year or two. Here we're taking a look at SPY technology versus XLF. So XLK versus XLF. What you see here is parity going back almost 4 years. This is late stage bull market behavior. That's about the only way I can identify that. And the technology bulls have pulled back to the 200 again for the 3rd time. They're holding it for now, but as you can see, the 50 is rolling, the 20 is rolling. The bands are pointing down now, which generally indicates the correction will continue until we can get above the 20. So right now, the target is around 511, but in general, it looks like financials are a better owned than tech. As we take here, growth versus value, you can see clearly growth is outperforming value. Now we're going to take a look at some of the more macro indicators like NIM exposure. Clearly not at the sell yet or the buy. We're stuck right at the 20, right in the middle. Bands are going sideways, no trend, which is fine. It tends to be pretty normal for the NIM. Really, we're looking for extremes. So we would need to see this reading back down to 63 before I anticipate a rally all the way back up to 102, 105, 110, somewhere in that general range. But as you can see, this is a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. I do not expect that higher low pattern to break. Looking at new highs versus new lows, you can see these generally create troughs. This October 2022 reading of negative 1100 marked a low. Same thing back here in October, November of 2018, 2019 at Q4. And right now we're kind of just stuck up here. We're not really at the extremes to the upside, and we've pulled back to 50, which tends to be mean. So anything can happen from here. We're not at an extreme. That's the point. 50-day moving average, right? Pulled back to the 200. Again, not at the peak and not at a trough. Okay. Now, is this rolling? It certainly looks like it's rolling. This was a low of 59. We've now broken that higher low pattern, closing at 57. definitely opens up 37. It could be a pullback here. Okay, so this is one for the bears. I put together this RRG. This real quick to show you. This is all of the sectors in the S&P 500 along with the transports, gold, and I just view it as RRG. And just to show you how SMH has been leading, started the year leading, but as soon as she came into June, into the summer, she's been weakening and lagging. Right, QQQ, XLK, TLT, XLE, SMH have all been lagging, weakening to lagging. These are things that you avoid. You want things up here in the improving to leading. XLF, GLD, XLU, XLRE, these XLB, even to some degree XLK now, right, popped back up to the improving. IYT, right, these are the sectors that you should be focusing on right now. I love the RRG to illustrate relative strength. Taking a look at the stocks that I track, going back 1 month, you can see Bitcoin, App, CGC, PLTR, Carvana are the top 5. Going back 3 months, right? So you don't have CGC in that list, and Master drops to 6, but App, Carvana, you see a trend. 6 month, Carvana, year to date, Carvana, App, Master. You see what's going on here? Okay, so it's been a pretty risk-on type of year. I want to now take a look at some of the ideas and names that I've had here in the room that I've shared. This is the rebalance plan, right? We're currently looking for a low, a cycle low to form now into the election. The general idea is add the names that are above outperforming SPY, which is up around 25% on the year, and cut the names that are underperforming SPY. Pretty simple strategy. All we're trying to do is rebalance the portfolio. Silver's a great looking name, breakout with gold, playing lag, playing catch up. MRK, pulling back to long-term mean, name that I'm looking, identifying peg under 1, things that we want to see. Bitcoin looks like she's leaving the station. FSLR, right? But this is the cycle stuff that I wanted to share. We should be finding a trough, finding a low sometime here in the last week of October, and possibly up into the election, right? Generally, markets will bottom right around the election or right before it and then rally into the end of the year. This is the strongest quarter, right, now into January of the entire 12 months. So relative strength, CRMD, another name on the scanner, just showing you the names that we look for. Fundamentals are awful, so this would be weighted very low. Okay, now let's drill in S&P 500 and take a look at what we have going on. We have broken this uptrend. This 5-wave move looks complete. Again, you know, this is very subjective count. Pulled back to the 20, above the 20. So just because we've broken this trend line and we've back tested this trend line does not mean that she has to fall. That being said, it looks like she's going to fall. Okay, and where would we expect her to fall to? That's it, just right there. 565 would be a nice buy. Nice little throwback, right? Tested it here. The other place they could fall would be come back to this level, 572, where she's failed before, right? Taking a look at the weekly, you can see this is a clear uptrend, but momentum is waning. This momentum was the peak, so this means this is your wave 3 high, wave 3 of 3. Going out to the monthly, you can see that this has been going on for quite some time, and just to give some context, she hasn't rallied as strong as she did following the COVID lows. but she's rallied longer than she did following the COVID lows. Here's another rally of a year and 11 months. Okay, so around a year to 2 years of straight up tends to be followed with a correction. A triangle here, and a zigzag here. And what ends up happening? Price reverts to the 50 almost every time. Now look here, even when she rallied here, the longest time, that was a 3-year rally. Okay, so best case scenario, you got a year left. Unless we're going to go back and exceed everything, and we're going back to the 94. A 5-year rally. All right, that's always anything's possible. But if you look at where we are, it makes sense, given this look, that any pullback, if it gains traction, will turn into this, right? And it seems to be what's happening here. Another pullback. Where are we looking? We're looking for all the way on the other side of this channel. You'd start at the 50, right? Just like back here. Then the bulls try to rally. They get back to the 20. They can't. And they go to the 50. And a larger ABC. So that's what I'm looking for into the election. We're looking for a low in the coming week, somewhere around 565 to 572. Taking a look at QQQ, no new high. Very, very bearish. Okay. Momentum trying to get going, but can't. And really cannot get above all-time highs. We're going to see. I mean, if she's able to, that we learn something new either way. But if she's not, I have a bearish divergence now going back 4 years. All right. So just one of those things. And if you look at price appreciation, I mean, this thing is just mooned going back to the COVID lows. 200%. Another red flag for the bears is SMH. Now, as long as she stays above this 240, things aren't that bad. If she gets below 200, things are going to get ugly very quickly. That being said, this is a straight move down of 30% in 4 weeks. That is a big correction that's already happened. For context, this correction took 10 months and it only went 47%. This was 30% in 4 weeks. Okay, but so just some context here. That's how much time and price correction was required to touch the 200. Well, we've pulled back 30%. Now we've rallied. We're still quite a ways away from the 200. Right? Like, if this is the same type of correction from the top, you're looking for a 140 to 160, which is going to be the best buy on SMH. I mean, anything gets down here, it is load the boat type of mindset, which will align with the other side of this channel. Anytime she can get to the other side of this channel is a big deal. Now, one thing I want to point out is that this monthly breakout has ended. Okay? It's over. See, like, what happens? She breaks above the top of the band, stays above the yellow line. Okay. Until she gets back on the inside of the band and breaks the yellow line. So right now, that's where we're at. We're done with the expansion above the top of the band phase. We did that bit, right? We did that bit. We're done. Now we're in the final stage. Okay, somewhere around 5 months maybe before the thing actually pulls back to the other side of mean. Okay, and right now we've got the bearish divergence in play. The bulls would love to break this, but look at the histogram. It's already started declining, the same way this one already started rising. Right, when the histogram starts declining, it's telling you that the rate of change is no longer in your favor if you're a bull. So again, as I pointed out in the RRG, this is lagging. This is leading. IYT is leading. Here's your inverse head and shoulders. Need to see if she can close the month above $70.40. She really needs to close above 71. That would be great. That would be an all-time high closing. But until that can happen, she's kind of stuck right here. Right at the top of this breakout. But which is why she's improving and not leading. XLF was leading, but as you can see, this thing's almost done. I don't want her up here in the 50s. No, thank you. All right, I mean, this is the final 18% of this massive move off of the financial crisis lows. I mean, just take a look at this. I'm good, right? I don't need to own financials at 48 for a rally to 58 into the end of the year. I mean, that you can do that, but you better be very careful about de-risking because you are at the latter 10% of the move. All right. XLE dramatically underperforming. GLD dramatically outperforming. All right, these are the things that we want to focus on and the names that I want to focus on. GLD, add, buy the dip. Silver, buy the dip. Any dip into 28, buy it. Now, if she can't hold 28, that's how we know we're at the end of the move. Let's take a look at small caps. Momentum looks great, but price cannot get moving. This is all corrective. This entire move is great. Look, impulsive, 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 corrective. Can't even get to an all-time high without having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 monthly sell-offs, right? I mean, just cannot rally, cannot get going. They want to say, oh, they're unprofitable. They've always been unprofitable. They were unprofitable here. They were unprofitable here. They were unprofitable here during this run. They were unprofitable here. They've always been unprofitable. It's just a math problem. That being said, we're not interested in profitability. We're looking at sentiment, behavioral economics. Do we see a risk on in small caps? And I do not. I'm guessing this is pulling back as it did to the 50. If we can't hold here the 50, this is going to pull back all the way to the 200 again. And at that point, if this doesn't hold, this is over. This entire thing is done. Any price action below 205, below 208, this general area, brings in this structure, which is very bad for a bull. The names that I've been watching, so inside of IYT is Uber, pulled back to mean, could be pulling back to 70 for all we know. But right now she's holding the key area that you want her to hold, the 75 to $76 range, the rising 50. This is an uptrend. This just hit an all-time high, and she's just pulling back to EMA 5 and SMA 10. These are your trends. This is a ascending channel. This is what we want. Momentum reset to 0, flipped positive. Histogram is positive, and price is above all the moving averages. So nothing to be concerned with at this moment. I will say this is an exhaustion gap. This is a very concerning look on the daily, but we're still in a clear uptrend, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Just looking for another higher low. And this is the leader within IYT, the number one holding. Okay, so if this thing starts to move and starts to break out following the election, which is what we're looking for, we are looking for a low, we would look for IYT to continue to lead. Let's take a look at some of the trash. Tan, looking for a low. Ben looking for a low. Where? Right around here. The last 3 to 4 months. This general area. Been looking for a low. If you look at the weekly, well, we came down into this gap, which is 37.36, and that's where she's bottomed. Right? Once, twice, 3 times. Now, positive momentum. This is what we want to see in a low. We need to see the bull volume come back in. That being said, this is still just a falling wedge and could fall further. That's what they do. This thing could fall to 32. Okay, but that's not what we're seeing. We saw a very bullish week despite SPY being very bearish, and this gap here was filled rather quickly. Just call it an exhaustion gap or a common gap, who knows. But back to a declining 20, and the assumption is that she will fall further into the cycle low that we're looking for. But when she bottoms, the leaders in that, FSLR being 1, will reach all-time highs. This is going to rally into the end of the year and reach an all-time high by January. That is the prediction. I don't like making predictions. I just need to have a map that we can follow. Right? So what do I love? I love to see PPO reset from 13 to 1 to 0, this general area, then flip up, kind of like we had back here. Okay? Pull back to the 50, set one more all-time high. Pull back to 0 from an all-time high of 12 or wherever we were. Loads loads the gun for another round, right? Another rally, right? And that's what we have here. And we have the structure of an ABC. This could also be a triangle. Right, this could be a descending triangle for all we know. But the point is, it's at support, and we're looking for a rally this week. So these are the things that I'm looking at to see if we're bottoming, right? I've got a list of things that have just traditionally not done too well, going back to that top when SMH topped in June and did that 30% fall. These names haven't done that well. And if we're looking for rotation, which I am, I'm looking for these names to see if they can start performing better. Right, here's another one, CGC. All of a sudden started performing very, very well. Right where you would anticipate, this right shoulder. And look at the volume come back in. I mean, this volume is textbook inverse head and shoulder volume. What should happen here is she should leave the station and not pull back. Maybe a little flag here, pull back, test, gone. I mean, this is over, right? And if I'm wrong, then she's going to pull back all the way up here to around $6 and then head to a new all-time low. So just another one for the bulls, another risk-on indicator, a stock that's been in a very long downtrend trying to bottom. Here's the monthly low, here's a lower high, here's a higher low. Can they break this downtrend? Same thing on the quarterly, right? Look at it, it's trying to set the quarterly higher low. Okay, so these are the things that I'm watching for these names that have historically been very weak to see if they can turn around and indicate strength. I have to cover NVDA, obviously. She's pulled all the way back to the all-time high where we were sellers over here. Look, I'm happy to buy dips here if she can hold. Maybe you get a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, dip into the weakness before the election, which, you know, looks like it's here. Probably 5 to 7 sessions of weakness before the election, before a final low for the year, rallies into end of year. This is the what the cycle analysis says. Now looking at the weekly, you could say, goodness, put in a higher low here in momentum, histogram about to flip positive. This thing could easily rally now to 200. Easily. It just has to find acceptance above 140. If it does, I'm adding back. This is part of that rebalance that I was talking about. All right, we want to sell the losers. Redfin has been a loser. FSLR, a potential loser if she can't rally here. Crocs has done actually okay since breaking out, has not failed, and has not fallen back in the triangle. She's building energy, momentum pulling back to zero before she does the same thing FSLR should be doing, setting an all-time high into the end of the year. Right, so A, B, C, D, E, gone. This is what I see almost everywhere. I'm looking at some of the stronger names like Master. I don't know how you buy this here. This is just you missed it. You cannot participate. That's the take. There just isn't a play here for new entries. Same thing with PLTR. This is a double top sell setup. There's been no consolidation up here at the 40s. Right? Like this did its thing. You missed it. Right? This is not the breakout setup that NVDA has. Right? This isn't PPO resetting then pulling up. That's not what I'm seeing here. Right? This is double top. That's what I see here. Double top. Now they're going to definitely want to close above 45 to trap every bull, right? Before they top. That's how it's done. But there should be a rotation play. So we'll end on gold. This thing could be topping too, around 3,000 before we get any type of pullback. So I'm talking about spot gold around 3,000. GLD would make it around 265. But yeah, so long-term gold bull, buy any dip, target 350, 450, 850 over the next 5 years. The average bull run, I might have to pull up the other chart, but like these are secular bulls. This was a secular bear that was 11 to 12 years. It's just now starting a new secular bull run. So this thing's not going to stop right away. You haven't missed it. And quite frankly, I'm not seeing any demand for gold. I see people talking about NVIDIA all day, every day, all they can talk about. But no one's talking about gold. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later.